Hello, how's it going? My name's Vincent. I'm happy to have you here. It's the end of the year, and anytime it gets to this point in the year, it's always so easy to just sort of look back and reflect on how the year's been going, and also to just see what you've enjoyed throughout the year. So I wanted to discuss my personal top favorite card games this year. Now, that doesn't mean that they released this year. It doesn't mean that they're the best selling this year, that they're the best objectively by any measure. These are just 5 card games that I enjoyed this year, and it can be any game that involves cards, so not just trading card games, not just, poker card, whatever you can think of. It could be digital, physical, whatever it may be. These are just 5 games that utilize cards that I enjoy. So hopefully you enjoy this video, and yeah, let's check it out. So at number 5, I'm going to put Yu-Gi-Oh! Here. So I'm not a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Player. I haven't been since I was probably the age of 12 or 13. I used to enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot, then I got out of it. I got more into Magic the Gathering. However, there's just been something sort of nostalgic about Yu-Gi-Oh! There's been something I sort of missed, and I kind of got into it on a casual level last year. So I sort of had this kind of like re-entering phase back into Yu-Gi-Oh! And I know that's to the chagrin of a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players because they want to move past the Duel Monsters era, but it seems to be doing really well for them, and that kind of works for me. So I like that. Now, granted, moving on into this year, there wasn't much there for me. But last year, my wife and one of my best friends bought me some Spirit Charmer stuff, and so I built a casual Spirit Charmers deck, and I have a lot of fun with that. But because of that, and because it's not something that really hit me a lot this year, I'm going to give it my number 5 spot. But starting next year, with the Grand Creator set, when they drop the Isekai theme, the Brave token, and the Exorcisters and some other stuff next year, it looks like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to have some really fun archetypes, some really fun new cards, and there were some fun new cards dropped this year too, so it's going to go to my number 5. For number 4, if you're a fan of the channel, you probably know that I like this Bloodborne card game a lot. Now, obviously this was released a handful of years ago, but if you haven't played it, it's a really fun game. It's really good if you like sort of games that utilize like everyone having like equal opportunities and equal sort of strategies to play with, because every player starts with the same starting hand and goes from there and have to like outwit one another and outplay each other. And so it's very like strategy focused, but it's also very easy to play and easy to learn. And you can have someone that's not like, normally when you hear the word strategy, you think like, oh, this is complex. But there's ways to have something that is strategic and easy to play and still complex. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it makes sense to me, and if that makes sense to you, then maybe you should check out Bloodborne the card game, because it is a lot of fun. At number 3, we have another go-to on this channel. If you followed us at all, you probably know that we like Here to Slay. Now, there is a few members of our channel or our team that this isn't their favorite game, but overall, this is one of the games that have won over the most people. It's one of our go-to games for sure. Talking about simple, it's very simple to play, but there is some strategy to it. I'd say there's a little bit more in the Bloodborne card game than this one, but this one's super cool. They've been doing a lot of sales this year too, so if you want to get Here to Slay for a good price, now's your time to do that. And we're not sponsored, but we do like the game, so there you go. Number 2 has to go to a digital card game, Legends of Runeterra. Now, maybe it's just because Arcane released this year, and Arcane is such a phenomenal series. Like, seriously, go watch it if you haven't watched it. You don't have to know anything about Legends of Runeterra or League of Legends. Just go watch Arcane, please. It's so good. With that aside, Legends of Runeterra is also super good. It is probably my favorite card game, mechanics-wise, art-wise, like style. Everything about it is like my favorite ever. If you haven't played Legends of Runeterra, do that. Also, like, you don't have to spend any money to play it. It is the most like rewarding, like free digital card game. Like all these other card games make you grind a lot or have to spend money. This one's just like, yeah, you can spend money, but it's mostly on cosmetics. So it gives you so much value, and it's such a fun card game. My only complaint is that my favorite thing about card games is being able to feel the cards, smell the cards, touch the card. I love that interaction with the cards, and I love that interaction with players at the table. Now, I get that it can be hard to get players at the table, and so the benefit of a digital card game is that you play, with people from wherever in the world, but, like, it really misses that social dynamic for me, and so it does get a very huge ding for that. But with that being said, it going into being a digital card game without having, like, knowing that that will be a thing that just is not a factor, it is basically perfect. So if that's not a problem to you, then definitely be sure to check out Legends of Runeterra. And then number 1 is something that's actually a surprise to me, because if you'd asked me this a few years ago, it would not have even been on my list. I also feel bad choosing something that is such a big name as my number 1, because I am very much like pro, like I love like checking out smaller things and stuff like that, but a lot of smaller publishers, a lot of these smaller games, like I've tried them throughout the year, they just have like some weird mechanics and weird ways that things are written out and things aren't explained easily, and it just infuriates me, and so it just doesn't work for me. But my number 1 has to be, this might surprise you, Pokemon. So Pokemon is something that I definitely have not played since I was a child until this year. I kind of got into it because I figured that my wife would like this game, and this would be something that she could get into. Now, I was absolutely shocked. So for one, I kind of got interested because they started releasing these 25-year anniversary cards to match their 25-year celebration. And I was like, well, I don't play this card game at all, like not even on casual level, but I wouldn't mind a pack, just to sort of celebrate that I'd played this game when it first came out. I watched Pokemon when it first came out. It just felt something like it was something special. So they really got me with this marketing strategy. But after that, I started realizing that the cards, like, they're so easy to understand. Like, even after all these years, it's like I've been gone for so long. And like when I went back into Yu-Gi-Oh, it is so complicated. Like, there's so much wording and reading, and it's not as bad as it seems on the surface. Like, as you start reading the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, you start understanding them more, and you start seeing how things work. So it's not as bad as it might seem. But Pokemon, like, you try to get back into that, it is so simple, like unbelievably simple. It's like the game could have been released today with like their current set, and it could have played just like it currently does, and it almost feels magical in a way. And another reason why I don't feel bad giving them the number 1 spot, like I know I said earlier that I do feel bad, but I have some conflicted feelings. One thing that makes me feel like it's reasonable to give them the number 1 spot is I feel like they're actually, like, the way that they lay things out to be able to teach kids. I mean, that's really like a reason why it's laid out so well, is because it's like, hey, we need to be sure that kids can understand this. I think I can take some of those design lessons and some of the things that they've done, like to lay out their marketing and to lay out their books and to lay out their cards. I think that possibly could be something for me to analyze for my own games that I release and publish, because not saying that I would make it, play like Pokemon or make it like dumbed down or like, oh, it's only for kids or something like that. And I might even say Pokemon's only for kids. I'm just saying it doesn't mean that it will make my games more like Pokemon. I'm just saying that they do things in the Pokemon card game that's very, very smart. So I don't feel bad mostly about it being my number 1. If you kind of relate to my situation though, and you're interested in getting back into Pokemon, or you just got back into it or whatever, be sure to let me know, because I'm interested to hear your side of the story. I want to talk about a few card games that I haven't played yet that looked interesting to me. One is Inscription. It's a single player card game. It's digital. I really want to play it. I put it up on a poll, and it had some votes, but it didn't quite win our poll, so I ended up not playing it on our stream. But if I need to play it, let me know, because it looks interesting. I do think I'll play it regardless. So there's Inscription. There's also WeCross, which is apparently, I really don't like the name. It sounds like a sport to me, but it's like a fantasy anime card game, and apparently some people say it's really good, so maybe I should try that out. And then number 3 is the Grand Archive card game on Kickstarter. Now, there's currently a lot of TCGs on Kickstarter, from what I can tell, and this one looks the coolest to me. As far as art style, like, I personally love fantasy anime art, so I'm good with that. Just the layout seems good. A lot of it seems good. Now, I'm personally not a big fan of having 2 decks in any card game, and I don't count a side deck as a deck. And it seems like their deck sort of plays like a side deck would in like Yu-Gi-Oh, as like an extra deck rather. But I I don't know. I feel a little bit conflicted on that because that's not my favorite thing. I don't like have to shuffle 2 decks, and it doesn't look like you have to shuffle the other, but I don't like having to look through my hand, set that down, look through another hand, mess with that, put that down. Like, I just like it to all be in one spot. Now, I'm okay with the occasional bending of that rule, you know, like if you have a card that, you know, can interact with a card outside the game, such as like Fusion Monsters and Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something, like, that's different. But if it's like an every turn thing, that gets on my nerves. I don't like it. Maybe it's just a personal problem. I don't know how you feel about that. That's just how I feel. And I also, I don't know. There's just like little weird things I don't like, but I understand why they're there. But overall, the game looks a lot better than a lot of other card games I've seen. And as but I can't leave you here without a last bonus, which is the Guillotine card game. Now, I didn't want to put this in my top 5 because I published this game, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that guy. But I do want to be that guy that at least tells you about it. So Guillotine is a fun little card game that me and my wife made together. She did all the artwork for, and this has been a really, really solid go-to for us to play, especially with family members, with friends, with a big table of people. And we ran our first tournaments this year, so we had a lot of fun with Guillotine. It's really good, especially if you like some spooky, scary monsters, including skeletons, as well as some cryptids and some other things. So it's a really simple, easy to play game in which you don't want to get your number over 13, which you share a number with everyone else at the table. If you do, you get busted out, and then you have to keep playing. There's a lot of tricks and fun stuff going there. So be sure to check out Guillotine. And yeah, appreciate you being here. If you want to see more content, let me know what you'd like to see. Currently, just sort of throwing out some random videos out there, and you know, just doing some stuff I feel good about. So if you feel good about it, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate you. Stay awesome.
Guess I have no choice. It's time to save the world.